Hello and welcome to the Guarneri podcast. This is episode number 35. So, today I want to talk about land. Yep, land. So, many ancient cultures had strong connections to their land, to the landscape, and the energy of the land and of the world, of that just energy system that exists. They were more plugged in. Over time, uh, us humans, we've lost that connection to spirit. And over time as well, the world has basically turned into what it is today, where certain things just seem to get worse and worse. Greed, crime, attitudes of people. Instead of people looking to say, hey, you know, here, I want to help you with this, or what can I do? Or trying to help out people. It's the other way around. What can you do for me? What are you going to give me? How does this affect me? And it's a slippery slope if we keep going down that way. But it's no wonder people are suffering from anxiety and depression in crazy numbers. It's hard not to. So when I was a kid here in Long Island, New York, I was probably pretty attuned with the landscape of my area. I pretty much lived in the landscape. I was always outside, always in the dirt making a mess with the trees and the bushes in the, underbrush that I shouldn't have even been in. Now, I was part of nature, and even when we went upstate to our quote unquote "summer home" in the Catskill Mountains, I felt like I was one with the landscape. Whether I was just wandering around outside or whether I went into the back into the forest, looking at the animals that I would see and the different sounds and sights and textures, and just sitting there by the stream, just looking and thinking, that was probably when I had my strongest connection to nature when I was a kid. Over time, when allergies develop and there are better things to do than to be in nature and be in some way communicating with it, I lost that connection. And I think, humans in general have lost that connection, maybe with the exception of some more aboriginal type cultures. We've lost that connection. And right now, I'm still living on Long Island. I hope to get out of here at some point because I don't like the way things are now, and it's much too crowded. And I feel like I have little connection to the landscape. Most of it's my fault for not being in the landscape, but part of it too is just not having comfort level anymore. The room to be in the landscape. Everything's so overpopulated here, and I'm not going to get into nature and be part of the landscape in my little backyard with kids screaming at the school and airplanes going overhead and hum of the highway in the distance. It's not going to happen. So I envy those of you who actually have a little space and a little quiet and can hear those sounds of nature and communicate with nature a little better. And if you have that spot, you have those opportunities and you're not doing it, shame on you. I would kill for that. And I can see personally for me now that I used to love New York City. I used to live on, well, I still live on, I lived on Long Island. I used to love New York City. But now I could see I'm more connected to the rural lands, ones I don't even live in. When I go to Pennsylvania to bring my daughter back and forth from college, that landscape feels better to me. that rural landscape. I feel like I connect with it on some level. Where do you connect with landscape? Can you connect with the landscape where you live now or where you grew up? Where could you connect with the landscape? It's important to do so. For me, fortunately and unfortunately, the landscape that I found that I connected with was in Ireland, which obviously isn't around the corner. But there, every step I took, I felt I was a part of the landscape. My feet touching the ground, I felt like I was part of the landscape. If I would sit there on the ground or on a rock or whatever and just look around, I could just sit there for hours as if I was part of the landscape, that I belonged there. And I honestly, I can't imagine anything closer to connecting to nature and the landscape and the spiritual energy flow than those moments. And we all really need to do it. We need to get back to nature. We need to get back to the outside. And it doesn't have to mean going camping or rolling around in the mud like I did when I was a kid. Just spend some time in the nature. Spend some time outside. I don't know, maybe grow a plant or a small tree or what I wanted to do this year, which I still can't do because of my back. I wanted to have a little one of those gardens, those table gardens where you can it's all covered up and it can feed hydroponically. If you're not already, at some point you're gonna crave that connection again. And the longer we wait, the harder it's gonna be. And the ancient people knew this and they knew it well. They knew the importance of it. With that connection, they were able to do and see things that we can't. The mind could expand in a ways that ours can't anymore. Now we've dug ourselves into a hole and we can only see what we could see from that hole. Now it kind of reminds me of a little bit of Plato's allegory. I don't know if you've ever seen that or not, but it's basically an image where some people are chained up against the wall, and behind this wall, behind them, is a fire, and people marching back and forth with different animal shapes on sticks. So all these people, these prisoners or whatever they're, all they could see is what is projected on the wall in front and above them. They see these animals going back and forth. That's all they know. Then one of them gets free from his chains and goes behind the wall and all of a sudden sees a fire. They'd never seen a fire before. They just saw the glow of a fire. It's like, oh my God, that's a fire. And sees these people marching back and forth with the shapes and said, oh my God, that's where they come from, having not known. And this person can go back to the other prisoners and tell them what's going on and free them from their chains, but they don't want to leave because they don't want to leave what they know. And all they know is those images on the wall, those shadow images. And behind those people marching back and forth is a way out, a way up and out of this underground cave they're in, where you can see the world. So I guess the point is we don't really know how much we could see and experience. We may think we have it all, but chances are we don't. And there's a lot more out there, up there, in there, even in our brains and our minds that we're not accessing. What it is, I don't know. And I'm very skeptical of certain things that I hear and want to put them through their paces. But we have to be open-minded and be willing to adapt and pivot to help ourselves, to help our futures, to help our families, to help the earth, to help regain those spiritual connections. Anyway, I'm sorry if today's podcast was a little sermony, but it was just something that's been on my mind and figured I'll just talk about it today. So I'm going to be having a book type guide coming out. I'm probably guessing in the beginning of April. I'm not going to tell you what it's about yet. Um, I'm looking forward to it, and there's some interesting things about it that I'll tell you over time. But please subscribe to my um, email list so you get all the details and know what to do and how to do it, and stay informed of everything I have going on. And my email, you can sign up for my email list at MikeGuarneri.com, and the link for that is down to the left, wherever the description is. That's where the link is. So until tomorrow, stay well.